David Charter is the U.S. editor for the Times of London. He's been following the impeachment hearings like just about everyone else here in Washington. David, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Each side here has certain goals and objectives. Which side, in your opinion, did a better job achieving that?
I think it's not been a great week for President Trump and the Republicans, because what we've had in this first historic week of public hearings in the impeachment process are three very long-serving, credible and polished diplomats who have made very convincing and unflappable presentations in the face of very thorough questioning from both sides. The Republicans had a plan to try and portray the process as some kind of sham, because they've all been heard in private before, so they're saying they've been coached or trained to go along with the Democrat process, because let's remember, it was only Democrats who voted to carry on with the process. However, the Republicans didn't throw them off. They didn't undermine, as from the neutral point of view, a very fluid and I thought convincing testimony from all three, who painted a picture of a foreign policy in Ukraine that was operating in parallel, the traditional State Department policy, and then the White House running through 3 or 4 associates of the president, its own parallel policy for its own goals. And that is a picture that has consistently emerged, I think, from this week.
I thought it was interesting that the ranking member, Nunez, almost suggested to Marie Yovanovitch, why are you here, or something along those lines, like you are absolutely irrelevant. If there's issues with your job, maybe the HR department needs to handle this, not the Intelligence Committee. But she again pulled it off really well and handled herself with grace and not really giving into that kind of pressure. Let me ask you about Donald Trump's tweet. In the middle of her very moving testimony, gripping testimony, he tweets something along the lines, everywhere Marie Yovanovitch went turned bad. She started off in Somalia. How did that go? As the U.S. president, referring to himself, I have the absolute right to appoint ambassadors. Is he making a valid point here? He does have the right to pick and choose his ambassadors.
Well, the reason I say it's been a bad week for Trump is that the optics of that were very bad for him, I think, from
tweeting while she was testifying?
Because at that very moment, she was being asked about how she felt about being undermined by these characters appointed by the White House to go in and run a different track of policy in Ukraine for the president's goals. And it was during that passage of questioning that the tweet emerged and was very dramatically put to her in the hearing by the chairman, Adam Schiff, in real time, if you like. And she hadn't had a chance to see it, so she was in real time shocked and taken aback to see it. And we saw a very human reaction there, that her president, the person that she serves as an ambassador and still works for as an employee of the government, was, if you like, bad-mouthing her. It's exactly what she had been accused of behind her back, was bad-mouthing the president, which there was no concrete evidence for, yet here was concrete evidence of bad-mouthing her.
And not to mention basically throwing her under the bus for a very complicated political situation in Somalia, which she obviously is not to blame for. So, David, what do you make of this? Where is this going to go? At the end of the day, is it really going to make a difference? And do Trump supporters, really care?
Well, my view is that the Democrats at the moment are going to build up all the way to Christmas with perhaps a dozen or more public hearings in this process. They've been told by the Republicans who control the Senate that if it moves to the Senate for trial, as it would do in the normal course of a full impeachment, that would last 6 weeks into the new year, running into the primary election campaigns, into the 2020 election campaign. And there's no sign at the moment of any Republican senators, who are the crucial audience today, let's not forget. The 100 senators are the jury for an impeachment trial. There's no sign of any of the Republican majority really shifting against President Trump. So my feeling personally is that it would be better for the Democrats just to run all their witnesses, lay out all the evidence to the American public of what the president has done, and then go for a vote of censure rather than articles of impeachment, which are the charges that take it to the Senate trial. I feel that it's a very rare move. It's only been done twice before in American history in the House of Representatives. If there was a vote of censure, it would spare the public. They could say to the American public, we're going to spare you going through all this evidence again in a very long-winded and bitter, divisive trial. The American public, I think, know from the Clinton impeachment in the 90s that it's very upsetting for the country to have this trial take place. My view is, if they're smart, they'll go for censure.
We'll see what happens. You'll be watching and we will be watching. David Charter, thank you so much.
Thank you.